Organizing Your Life. An audiobook for anyone who has ever lost their keys, their mind, or their Monday. Chapter 1. The Beautiful Mess We Call Modern Life. Picture this. It is 7:43 in the morning. You have 17 minutes before you need to leave the house. Your coffee is somewhere. Your keys are somewhere else. Your phone is almost certainly in the place you just looked, except it wasn't. Somewhere in the kitchen there is a piece of paper with something important written on it, and you have absolutely no idea what it says or where it is. Sound familiar? Welcome to the club. It has millions of members, terrible administration, and no one can find the membership list. Here is the truth about disorganization. It is not a character flaw. It is not evidence that you are lazy or hopeless or secretly self-sabotaging. It is simply what happens when the demands of modern life outpace the systems we have in place to manage them. And the good news, the genuinely wonderful news, is that systems can be built, habits can be formed, and the version of you who leaves the house with everything you need, feeling calm and ready for the day, that person is not some fantasy. That person is you with a few small changes. This book is not going to ask you to become a different person. It is not going to tell you to wake up at 5 in the morning, color code your entire wardrobe, or buy an expensive planner you will use for exactly 11 days before it becomes a decorative item on your shelf. What it is going to do is walk you through the real, practical, human art of getting your life in order, one manageable piece at a time. We will talk about your physical space, your time, your mind, your money, your relationships, and the invisible weight of all the things you are trying to hold in your head at once. By the end, you will have something far more valuable than a tidy desk. You will have a way of living that feels lighter, clearer, and genuinely yours. Let us begin. Chapter 2. Why we get cluttered in the first place. Before we start moving things around and building new habits, it helps to understand why disorganization happens at all. Because if you have ever stood in the middle of a chaotic room thinking, how did it get like this? You deserve an honest answer. Clutter in all its forms is usually the result of deferred decisions. That pile of papers on your kitchen table, every single item in it is a decision you haven't made yet. That overflowing email inbox, hundreds of tiny choices postponed. The jumble of cables in the drawer you never open, past decisions made in a hurry, filed under we will sort that later. Later, as it turns out, has a way of never quite arriving. There is also the matter of emotional weight. We hold on to things, both physical objects and mental obligations, because letting go feels like a risk. What if I need this someday? What if I forget that task if I take it off my list? What if clearing out this drawer means admitting I never did become the person who needs a soldering iron? The objects we own, the commitments we make, the habits we fall into, they all accumulate quietly, one at a time, until one day we look up and feel buried. The first shift, and it is an important one, is to stop thinking of organization as a grand project you will tackle someday, and start thinking of it as a series of small, quiet decisions made consistently over time. You do not organize your life in a weekend. You organize it in moments, in the 2 minutes before you leave a room, in the 30 seconds after you open an email, in the habit of putting things back where they belong, not almost where they belong. Small, consistent, repeated. That is the engine of an organized life. Chapter 3. Starting with space. Your physical environment is not just a backdrop to your life. It actively shapes how you think and feel. Study after study confirms what most of us already sense. Cluttered spaces increase stress, reduce focus, and make it harder to make good decisions. A clear, organized space, on the other hand, sends a quiet signal to your brain that things are under control. So let us talk about your home. Not your whole home, not yet. Just one corner of it. Here is a principle that will serve you well throughout this entire journey. Never try to do everything at once. The person who decides on a Saturday morning that they are going to overhaul the entire house by Sunday evening almost always ends up surrounded by more chaos than they started with, exhausted and no further forward. The person who decides to spend 20 minutes on the kitchen junk drawer and then stops ends up with one cleared drawer and a feeling of genuine accomplishment. And that feeling? That is the fuel for the next 20 minutes. Start small, win small, build from there. When you approach any space, whether it is a drawer, a wardrobe, a desk, or an entire room, the method is always the same. Take everything out. This is non-negotiable. You cannot properly assess what you own when it is all jumbled together. Take it all out, put it somewhere visible, and then make 3 piles. The first pile is for things you use and love. The second is for things that belong somewhere else. The third is for things that need to leave your home entirely, whether through donation, recycling, or the bin. Notice that there is no pile labeled maybe. Maybe is the enemy of organization. Maybe keeps everything frozen in its current state, unable to move forward. When you pick up an object and you genuinely cannot decide whether it belongs in your life, ask yourself this: if I saw this in a shop today, would I buy it? If the answer is no, that is your answer. Once you have sorted, you clean the empty space. Then you put back only what belongs in a way that makes sense, like things with like things. Things you use most often in the most accessible spots. Things you rarely need tucked away neatly, not crowding out the things you reach for every day. And then, crucially, you stop. You have done the work. You let yourself feel good about it. Do this process with one area at a time, returning to it on another day and another, and slowly your environment will shift from a source of low-level stress to a source of quiet satisfaction. Chapter 4. The Art of a Home for Everything. There is a phrase that experienced organizers swear by: a place for everything and everything in its place. It sounds simple, even obvious. But think about your own home for a moment. Does every single object in it have a designated place? A home it reliably returns to? If you are honest, probably not. And that is where much of the daily chaos comes from. When things do not have a home, they land wherever is convenient in the moment, which means they could be anywhere, which means finding them requires a search, which means you are spending time and mental energy every single day on the basic business of locating your own belongings. Giving things a home is one of the highest return investments you can make in your daily life. It takes a little thought up front, but once it is done, it pays dividends forever. Start with the items you use most: your keys, your phone charger, your wallet or handbag, your everyday coat. These are the things whose absence causes the most morning panic, so they deserve a dedicated, obvious, easy-to-reach home. Put a hook by the door for your keys. Not near the door. By the door. Not sometimes. Always. Make it the single most automatic motion in your leaving the house routine. Keys on the hook. Bag in its place. Coat hung up. Do this every single time without exception, and within 2 weeks, it will feel as natural as breathing. Apply the same thinking to every category of thing in your home. Medicines in one place, tools in one place, documents in one place. The effort you spend finding a sensible system once is effort you will never have to spend again. And every time you reach for something and your hand lands exactly where you expected it to be, you will feel a small but genuine sense of your life working as it should. Chapter 5. Taming the Paper Tiger. Let us spend some time on paper, because for many people it is the single greatest source of domestic chaos. Bills, letters, forms, takeaway menus, children's artwork, receipts, instruction manuals for appliances you no longer own, the paperwork from your last car, the card your aunt sent you 3 Christmases ago. Paper multiplies quietly and relentlessly, and most people have absolutely no system for dealing with it. Here is a system. It has 2 parts. The first part is a daily habit. When paper enters your home, you make a decision about it immediately, not later, not after you have put it on the counter where it will join its paper friends and form a colony. You open the post, you look at the leaflets, you handle the receipts, and you deal with each piece right then. Is it something you need to act on? It goes into an inbox tray, one single designated tray, to be dealt with in your weekly review, which we will discuss shortly. Is it something you need to keep for reference? It goes in a file. Is it something you can read and discard? Read it and discard it. Is it junk? Straight into the recycling without ceremony or guilt. The second part is a simple filing system for the things you genuinely need to keep. You do not need anything elaborate. A small collection of clearly labeled folders or an accordion file with obvious categories will serve you perfectly. Home and utilities, finance and tax, medical, insurance, vehicles, important documents, that is probably all you need. Once a year, perhaps at the start of January or the end of the financial year, you go through these files and remove anything that is no longer relevant. Everything else stays tidy and findable, waiting for the moment you need it. 2 parts, 1 daily habit, 1 simple filing system. Your paper life sorted. Chapter 6. The digital clutter nobody talks about. We have dealt with the physical world. Now let us step into the digital one, because your phone, your email, your computer, desktop, and your cloud storage are environments just as real as your kitchen, and they deserve the same thoughtful attention. Think about your inbox for a moment. How many unread emails are in there right now? Hundreds? Thousands? Tens of thousands? For many people, the email inbox has become a sprawling archive of every newsletter they ever subscribed to, every notification from every app, every chain of professional communication they meant to reply to weeks ago, layered on top of the things that actually matter and need a response. This is not your fault. Email was not designed to be managed like this, but we can make it better. The simplest approach is called Inbox Zero, and it does not mean you have 0 emails in your inbox at all times. It means your inbox is a place for things that need action, not a storage system for everything that has ever arrived. Here is how to get there. Block out an hour, just one, and go through your inbox making fast decisions. Unsubscribe from anything you never read. Delete anything old and irrelevant. File anything you want to keep into a small set of simple folders. What remains should be only the things that need a response or an action from you. Then, going forward, apply the 2-minute rule. If you can deal with an email in under 2 minutes, deal with it now. Reply, delete, file. If it requires more time, flag it and return to it at a specific time you have set aside for email, not constantly throughout the day. Checking your email every few minutes is one of the most effective ways to feel very busy while actually accomplishing very little. Your phone's photo library, your desktop files, your browser bookmarks, your saved articles, you will definitely read one day. All of these deserve a similar periodic clear out. Not obsessively, not constantly, but regularly. A little digital housekeeping done consistently keeps the creeping chaos at bay. Chapter 7. Your time is your life. We have talked about space. Now let us talk about time, because how you spend your hours is, quite literally, how you spend your life. Time management has a slightly unfortunate reputation. It conjures images of rigid schedules and productivity gurus with aggressive morning routines. But at its heart, managing your time well is simply about making sure that the things you actually care about get space in your days, and the things that drain you without adding value are kept in their proper place. The foundation of good time management is knowing what matters to you. This sounds obvious, but many people have never sat down and clearly articulated what their priorities actually are. They have vague intentions and half-formed ambitions, but they have never looked at their week and asked, does how I spend my time reflect what I say I value? If your health matters to you, is there time in your week for exercise and proper meals? If your relationships matter to you, are you actually present with the people you love, or are you physically there but mentally elsewhere? If your work matters to you, are you doing your most meaningful work in your best hours, or are you spending those hours in meetings and responding to messages while your real work gets squeezed into tired afternoons? Start by getting clear on your 2 or 3 most important priorities. Not 10, not 15, 2 or 3. Then look at your time and ask whether those priorities are reflected in it. If they are not, the work of time management is figuring out what to remove, reduce, or renegotiate to make space for what matters most. Chapter 8. The Weekly Reset. One of the most powerful habits you can build is a weekly review. This is a short, regular appointment with yourself, perhaps 30 to 45 minutes on a Sunday evening or a Friday afternoon, where you step back from the doing of your life and look at it from a slight distance. In your weekly review, you do a few things. You look back at the week just gone and ask what went well, what felt difficult, and what you would do differently. Not to criticize yourself, but to learn. Life is the best data set you have ever had access to, and a few minutes of quiet reflection on it is enormously valuable. You look at the week ahead and get clear on what is already committed, what needs to happen, and what you want to make space for. You check your calendar, your task list, your inbox, you deal with any loose ends, you set your intentions. And then you close the review and you let yourself actually rest for the remainder of your weekend because you have done the thinking and you do not need to carry it around in your head all Sunday night. The weekly review is a simple thing, but it creates a sense of being in relationship with your own life rather than merely reacting to it. People who do it consistently report lower stress, better follow through on their goals, and a general feeling of being, to use a word we do not use enough, settled. Try it for 4 weeks. It will feel slightly awkward at first, as all new habits do. By the 4th week, you will not want to give it up. Chapter 9. The list that actually works. Most people have tried to-do lists. Most people have also noticed that their to-do list has a strange tendency to grow longer over time rather than shorter, accumulating tasks that transfer from one day's list to the next in an endless procession of good intentions. The problem is usually not the list itself, it is the way we build lists. We write down everything we think we should do, everything we might want to do, everything we told someone we would do, everything we feel vaguely guilty about not having done yet, all mixed together in a single undifferentiated stream, and then we feel overwhelmed by the sheer volume of it. Here is a better approach. Keep a master list, sometimes called a brain dump, where you record absolutely everything on your mind that you might want or need to do at some point. This list can be long and messy and uncurated. Its only job is to get things out of your head and into a safe place where they will not be forgotten. Then, from that master list, each day you choose only 3 things. 3 things that, if you accomplish them today, will mean today was a good and productive day. Not 20 things, not 12, 3. You do those 3 things first, before the reactive work of the day takes over, before the emails and the requests and the small interruptions. 3 things, done with intention. Everything else you do in the day is a bonus, and if your 3 things are done and you have energy left, you go back to the master list and pull forward whatever is next. This approach sounds too simple to work, but simplicity is the point. The reason most to-do lists fail is that they are unrealistic. Listing more than any human being could accomplish in a day, guaranteeing the feeling of falling short. 3 things, by contrast, is almost always achievable, and the experience of consistently achieving what you set out to do builds something invaluable: self-trust. Chapter 10. The weight we carry in our heads. There is a particular kind of exhaustion that has nothing to do with how much sleep you got. It is the exhaustion of carrying too many things in your mind at once. Every task you have not yet written down, every commitment you are trying to remember, every worry you are holding on to, every decision you have not yet made. These things take up cognitive space, and they create a constant background hum of mental noise that makes it harder to think, to rest, and to be present. The remedy is what productivity thinker David Allen famously called getting things out of your head. Your mind is for thinking, not for storage. When you try to use it as both, you do neither well. The simple act of writing things down, truly writing them down in a place you trust, frees your mind to do what it is actually good at: making connections, solving problems, being creative, being here. This is why the weekly review matters. This is why the master list matters. This is why the paper inbox tray matters. Every one of these tools is, at its heart, a way of externalizing the contents of your mind so that your mind itself can relax. When you have a reliable system, you stop having to remember everything because you know that everything is captured. You stop anxiously running through your mental list of obligations because you know the list is written down and it will be reviewed. You stop waking at 3 in the morning panicking about the thing you might have forgotten because you know you have a system that catches things. Trust in your system creates peace of mind. And peace of mind, it turns out, is not a luxury. It is the foundation from which everything else in a well-organized life becomes possible. Chapter 11. Money, simply. No conversation about organizing your life would be complete without a gentle visit to the subject of money, because financial chaos is one of the most stressful forms of disorganization there is. This is not going to be a chapter full of investment advice or complex financial strategy. It is going to be something more fundamental than that, a framework for simply knowing where you stand. The basis of financial organization is knowing what comes in and what goes out. That's it. Everything else follows from this. Many people go through their financial lives with only the vaguest idea of either number, checking their bank balance periodically and feeling either relieved or anxious based on what they find, without really understanding why it is where it is or how to change it. Spend a single hour creating a clear picture of your finances. Write down everything that comes in each month. Then write down every regular outgoing. Rent or mortgage, utilities, subscriptions, insurance, debt repayments, everything that leaves your account, whether you think about it or not. Then look at what is left. This exercise alone, this single hour of honest accounting, changes the relationship many people have with their money. Not because the numbers are different afterward, but because uncertainty is replaced with clarity. And clarity, however uncomfortable it might sometimes feel, is always better than vague dread. From this baseline, you can make choices. You can notice the subscriptions you forgot you had and cancel the ones you do not use. You can set up automatic transfers to savings on payday before you have a chance to spend the money. You can create a simple plan for any debt you carry. You can, for the first time perhaps, feel like your finances are something you are managing rather than something that is happening to you. That shift from passivity to agency is one of the most liberating things a person can experience. Chapter 12. Relationships and the organization of your inner life. Here is something that often gets left out of books about organization. The relationships in your life require tending to, and the most important relationship of all, the one you have with yourself, is perhaps the one most often neglected. Organizing your life is not just about your home and your calendar and your inbox. It is also about understanding what depletes you and what restores you. It is about creating enough space in your life for rest, for joy, for the people who matter, and for the quiet moments in which you remember who you are. Many of us have accidentally organized our lives around what is urgent rather than what is important. We are responsive to demands from every direction, but slow to respond to our own needs. We make time for everything except the things that would most sustain us. So as you build your systems and your habits, I want to invite you to include yourself in the plan. Schedule rest as deliberately as you schedule work, not as a reward for completing everything, because that moment rarely arrives, but as a necessity built into the structure of your days. Rest is not the absence of productivity. It is what makes sustained productivity possible. Tend to your relationships with the same intention you give your inbox. Call the people you love. Show up for them. Make plans and keep them. The connections between people are the most precious and most easily neglected things in a busy life. And give yourself credit for what you are doing right. Organization is a practice, not a destination. You will have brilliant weeks and chaotic ones. You will build a beautiful system and then get sick for a fortnight and return to find it has unraveled slightly. This is normal. This is human. What matters is not perfection, but the willingness to return, gently and without drama, to the practices that serve you. Chapter 13. The Habit Loop and How to Use It. Let us talk about habits, because habits are ultimately what everything in this book comes down to. A one-off tidy is nice. A habit of tidying is transformative. A single productive day is satisfying. A habit of productive days is a life well lived. Understanding how habits form makes it much easier to build the ones you want. Every habit operates on a loop, a cue, a routine, and a reward. The cue is the trigger that starts the behavior. The routine is the behavior itself, and the reward is what makes the behavior stick. When you walk through the front door, that is a cue. If your habit is to hang your keys on the hook by the door, that is the routine. And the reward, subtle but real, is the small sense of satisfaction that comes from having done the right thing, along with the much larger reward of never losing your keys. To build new habits, you want to make the cue obvious, the routine easy, and the reward satisfying. Start so small that it is impossible to fail. Instead of "I will exercise for an hour every morning," try "I will put on my trainers and walk to the end of the road." The first habit is optimistic but fragile. The second is modest but real. And once you're at the end of the road with your trainers on, you will almost always keep walking. Stack new habits onto existing ones. After I make my morning coffee, I will write my 3 priorities for the day. After I get into bed, I will put my phone on charge in another room. After Sunday dinner, I will spend 20 minutes on my weekly review. Using an existing habit as a cue for a new one is one of the most reliable tricks in the behavioral science toolkit. And be patient with yourself. A habit takes time to form, real time, not just a couple of weeks. But every time you repeat a behavior, the neural pathway that supports it grows a little stronger. Every repetition is an investment in the version of yourself who does this automatically, effortlessly, without having to think about it. That version of you is already taking shape. Chapter 14. When life gets in the way. There is one more thing I want to say, and it might be the most important thing in this whole book. Life is going to get in the way. You are going to build a beautiful routine and then have a hard week at work that derails it. You are going to clear out a room and find that within 3 months it has quietly filled back up. You are going to set up a filing system and then get busy and let the papers pile up on the counter again. You are going to miss your weekly review for a month and feel vaguely chaotic as a result. All of this is going to happen because you are a human being living a full and complicated life, not a productivity robot executing perfect subroutines in a controlled environment. The answer is not to set your systems up once and expect them to run perfectly forever. The answer is to think of organization as maintenance. Like keeping a garden, left entirely alone, a garden becomes overgrown. Tended regularly, even imperfectly, it remains beautiful. And after a period of neglect, it can always be brought back. There is no point at which you are done organizing your life, but there is a way of being in relationship with it. A gentle, ongoing, forgiving relationship, where you notice when things have drifted and you bring them back, without drama, without self-recrimination, without the story that you are someone who cannot get it together. You can get it together. You are doing it right now simply by thinking about it. Chapter 15. The Life on the Other Side. I want to paint you a picture of what is possible. Imagine waking up and knowing exactly what the day holds, not in a rigid, inflexible way, but in the way of someone who has made considered choices about their time and trusts themselves to keep those commitments. Your alarm goes off, and the first feeling is not dread, but something closer to readiness. Your home is not perfect, but it is peaceful. Things are where they belong. The surfaces are clear enough that the space feels like yours, not like an environment that is managing you. You get dressed without excavating your wardrobe. You make breakfast without navigating around last night's dishes. You leave the house without a single panicked search for something you cannot find. At work, you know what your 3 most important things are today and you do them first. You check your email at the times you have set aside for it, not compulsively throughout the day. When a new task arrives, you put it in its proper place, not just in your head where it will jostle with everything else. In the evenings, you are actually present because you are not carrying 100 unresolved things in your mind. You can be here in this room with these people in this moment. Rest actually restores you because your mind is not running in the background doing anxious accounting. At the end of each week, you spend half an hour looking back and planning forward, and you end that half-hour feeling not overwhelmed but oriented, like a person who knows where they are going. This is not a fantasy. This is the ordinary result of ordinary habits, practiced consistently over ordinary time. You do not need to be a different person to live this way. You just need to make a series of small decisions, one at a time, beginning with whichever one calls to you most. Maybe it is the hook by the door for your keys. Maybe it is dealing with the pile of papers on the kitchen counter. Maybe it is writing down your 3 priorities for tomorrow before you go to sleep tonight. Start there, just there, and then, when that is settled, take the next step. And the next,